started when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our meeting tonight. Economic Development Commission, Monday, July 22nd, 6:37 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order as interim chairman. I'm Matt Clark. Public participation is welcome. We run a very informal kind of operation. So anybody who's willing to participate is welcome to as we go through our meeting. Appreciate that. And also, this is the formal time for public participation. Is there anyone in the audience here that has comments they'd like to share? I'm looking around, doesn't look like it. And how about online? We have Ralph, Kathy Demers, Cheryl, and Tyler. Oh, no, it's Tai Chi, sorry. And I don't see any raised hands. So I'll be ready to move forward. Giving everyone a chance and an opportunity. I think we're good. So the next item on our agenda for tonight is approval of minutes. I read these when they came out. They were done by Mike. No, not by John. By John. And they look very good at the time that I read them. They may have gotten worse over time. I don't think so though. So this looks good to me. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes from the last one?
No, I read them when John put them out the next day.
Cheryl, do you?
Nope, no questions.
Great. Motion
To accept minutes of our June 3rd meeting.
Yeah, I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. Okay, those are approved. And commission business, we have three different things to discuss tonight, or actually two different things to discuss tonight. Strategic plan update. Ernie is here to participate in that, and then we have tax stabilization ordinance. Like to sort of measure the opinion of our group here on what we think we should do moving forward. I have my idea. I'd like to share that. Anybody get anything else we should be putting on this agenda? Cheryl, do you have anything to add or?
I don't.
Good, good. So we'll move to strategic plan update. By way of introduction, I read over the article that Ernie is going to be submitting to Neighbors newspaper. The free newspaper that serves our area. I thought it was pretty good. And meets our needs. If anybody has any comments or suggestions on that, I guess you could provide them to Ernie as we move forward, right?
Yeah. So the official polling day is Saturday, September 7th.
Yeah,
And
1 to 4,
4.
1 p.m. till 4 p.m. at the library.
And you met with the library people today.
Yes,
Would you like to review that?
sure. So planning for what we're calling the economic development open house is progressing. And Mike was kind enough to nail down the reservation again for Saturday afternoon, September the 7th, officially 1 until 4. And we're structuring this, as the name implies, as an open house. And so we're setting up the whole event as a friendly, welcoming, interesting, opportunity for people to come find out what the town is undertaking in the way of this economic development strategic plan. And then I'll elaborate on sort of some of the specifics therein. But in terms of for the record, as far as what's being done to promote the event, we have an announcement that is now published on the Willington Wire that's out currently, which I think you all have seen, and we are going to modify that slightly to be used as a flyer that can either be mailed or hand delivered, posted, and so forth. That'll be ready. I guess Mike's graphics folks are gonna make a few of those changes. I saw your email, Matt, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Can we discuss that a little bit as a group with the flyer? So, I thought it was good, I made a few little suggestions, I don't know if I copied everyone, I don't know if I did, I think I may have just done Mike, I apologize.
We got it, yep.
Alright, so, in terms of the flyer, we talked about mailing, and I don't think, Michael, we have, I don't think we have a budget for, you know, mailing this thing out.
No.
So that's not gonna be possible. Do we have, or we don't? We don't. I don't think, right?
No. Trying to figure out. The approximate number of households in town. I mean, you can get a bulk mail permit from the post office, it's still like 75 cents for a postcard.
Yeah, and then you need to get a postcard printed, anyway, you slice it, it's $400 or $500. And that's with no rush charges or anything, so I don't think we're gonna be able to mail this thing out to everyone in town, as much as I would like to. I'm all in favor of more communications with our taxpaying citizens. More often, more of it. It's very important, but unfortunately, we don't have the budget to do that. So I think I'd like to be able to get some broader distribution. And the ideas that I had were I wanted to post this, I'll volunteer to post. So that'd be the post office, the library, and a couple of businesses that I know, just people that I'm friendly with. They won't be, you know, they won't be, not large audiences. I don't know the guy down at the Willington EDC. Anybody know him?
Well, yeah, I think, if I may,
Yeah, sure.
as far as the mailing goes, and I certainly appreciate the budgetary issues involved, but to be honest with you, with other things which we'll discuss that are coming together, I don't really think that a direct mailing is really necessary to get a good crowd.
Okay.
So we've got the Willington Wire, we've got the flyer, which, you know, if you have a stack of them, people, you just take them around as you travel, go about your business. As you say, posting just on the bulletin boards at the library, here, there, and other. The library, I'm not sure, this was, I think, maybe before the meeting officially began, but today, the meeting I had with Deb Linares, they offered to help promote the event through use of the flyer or other information posted on their website, their social media and so forth. I thought that was a nice offer, so I'd like to take them up on that. We'll get them, you know, a proper, you know, message for that. And then the article, written, is gonna be in this, Neighbors newspaper, which is a 7,000,
Distribution.
copy, circulation. So that's gonna get some good coverage. And then planning to do a smaller, different type of press release for the Hartford paper and, you know, some other things. So, and then I'm gonna be making personal invitations to everybody that I've done a stakeholder interview with. Via email, phone, because these are folks now, as I, you know, talked about using the stakeholder interview process as a way of opening up lines of communication. So this is just one small example of how that, you know, can be used to our benefit. So I think we're up to, I think I'm at 44 stakeholder interviews so far. And so there's some of those folks will come, and then, you know, I'm gonna encourage them to bring friends or family and things like that. So that's another method.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting, I don't know, my intuition, is that the word, is that I would expect about 100 people. Now, because it's set up as an open house, that doesn't mean necessarily that all 100 will be in the room at the same time, right? Because people can come, spend a few minutes, look around, hey, this is great, grab a sandwich, something to drink, and go pick up Sally at the soccer game or something, right? Or they can stay for the full 4 hours, and there will be things that will be occurring during that time to keep people engaged, but I think 100 people is, we'll see how close I come, but I think that's gonna be pretty close. And so today, you know, having the opportunity to not just look at the room, but we worked through it in a high level of detail today. So the tables, the chairs, you know, all of that, they have a beautiful, you all are familiar with the space, but they have a great big whiteboard.
Yeah.
Thing, which I plan to use extensively, and then these, my approach is to have a number of tables that are set up for different topics, particularly different market sectors, okay, so we'll have one that's you know, tourism, one that's health and wellness, one that's agriculture, one that's warehousing and manufacturing, there's railroad, or, you know, and I'm thinking probably at least 10 of those tables.
So I have a concern about that.
Okay.
That means we would have to have 10 volunteers.
That's right,
Briefed,
that's right,
and we would have to have, I think, if we have 100 people, that means that we would have 10 people per table. About. And I'm not quite sure that we're gonna get 10 volunteers to be there and to not participate, but to facilitate, right? Well, that's a little bit of a concern. What do you think about that?
well, and therein lies, you know, the planning that goes into something like this to be sure that it comes off the way that we want it, and so I'm gonna be submitting a memo, you know, to Mike and to you guys, maybe, but probably by Friday.
Yeah.
That's gonna get into sort of how all this is sort of what needs to happen, and so as far as these, so I'm gonna be the moderator of the overall thing, and then I wanna have a facilitator at each of these tables, and maybe that turns out to be 8, I need to refine that a little bit, but I think there's enough topics, you know, for, like I said, let's call it 10 table, make it easy number to work with, right? So I'm gonna be requesting to draw on the community, your connections. I would prefer to have the facilitators at a particular topic table not necessarily be known either advocates or opponents of any particular thing. I want the facilitators to be preferably basically kind of like neutral. Okay, so they're not pitching a particular thing, because the pitching is coming, but. So, you know, I've been working, hard to establish as your emissary, the diplomatic relationship with the University of Connecticut. And I have yet another meeting tomorrow morning with the department head of agriculture and resource economics. Dr. Kimberly Rollins, we're meeting tomorrow morning, but I've had several, and I have a Zoom meeting with the dean of the whole thing on the 30th of July, that's next week, I think. And so so it's the Department of Urban Economics and Real Estate. I've had that meeting and so forth. So my inclination is to suggest / request of the university departments that are kind of interested in this general area that we're working on, to have students fill some of those volunteer slots.
Pretty good.
And maybe I'll be talking with Dr. Rollins in the morning about this, but others that they may have a setup where if a student volunteers for something like this, they get some extra credit or something, I don't know. But I'm gonna explore that. So I'd like to have some students, and that's a good way to start getting a little, you know, little action going with the university. And then, that's something we need to work on leading up to the event, but we're gonna need quite a few volunteers, and not only these facilitators, but I'm gonna tell you, these tables, I mean, I'm gonna need some labor. Okay, that helps get this set up. Now, what we discussed today, I was looking at the situation. The plan now is that we will be able to set up on Friday afternoon I'll wait till Saturday, so the event's Saturday. But I wanna get in there on Friday afternoon with some young, strong backs. And set up the tables and, you know, the easels with the things, maps, I've talked to Matt a little bit, we could talk more about, but I want maps, all these other things. There'll be plenty of further setup to do on Saturday, but I really want the bulk of like the tables and all that kind of stuff to be done on Friday. And then there's gonna be cleanup. I was explained to me in some detail today, which I requested the information, but you basically you leave it as you found it, and so. There is gonna be some food and, you know, refreshments, and but regardless, paper, and, you know, so at the end of on Saturday afternoon, when it's over, the whole place has gotta have to be vacuumed. The kitchen wiped down, stuff like that, trash has gotta be taken off-site. So, you know, garbage bags and all that kind of stuff is gonna have to be dealt with, but I'll get into more. You know, logistics on this, but these are things that are gonna have to happen in order to make this. Right.
Okay, so I'll volunteer, I can't be there the day before, but I can be there the day of.
Okay.
And to help break down.
I can be there the day before.
Okay,
Um,
and then, you know, as far as the event itself. You know. I'm open to anything you all wanna do as far as the involvement of the EDC itself. So if we want to, I wanna probably have some sort of a, kind of like a head table, so. Back up half a second, so. When people walk in to the room, there's gonna be like a reception table with a person there. That will welcome people. Good to see you, thanks for coming, you know, here's what we can do, we'll have a voluntary sign-in sheet, not required, but if people wanna be. Put on, you know, circulation of future updates and things like that, it's an optional sign-in list. We're gonna have optional name tags, if you wanna have your name, you don't have to, that kind of stuff, right? Then, you know, these very topic tables and resource tables, I think, and I'm gonna be putting together. Like a package for each table that's gonna have essentially like a script outline for the facilitator. Not to put words in their mouth. Show and tell items that'll be on the tables and all that kind of stuff. And then sort of like some kind of like a head table that will be, you know, in front of or off to the side of the whiteboard and everything. So if the EDC, if you guys wanted to, you know. You can just be at the head table and talk to people, or if you wanna, you can move around to these different topic tables and just sit in, listen. I mean, it's kinda, you know, it's not real rigid, it's just, there's gonna be a lot going on, there's gonna be a lot of people. And so there may be people that wanna talk directly to, so, you know, one of the commissioners and.
right, do we have a time period, so it's time for people to move and then move to another table?
No, so,
Just simply
so
go wherever you wanna go.
go wherever you wanna go, you can spend 5 minutes or you can spend the whole 4 hours. Now, I'm planning to give like a, kind of a briefing. Maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the outset. I'm gonna talk about this holistic approach. Where we are with the strategic plan, the purpose of the plan, sort of some general contours of the plan, and then I wanna emphasize that. You know, we want today, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we wanna really open up the discussion and the understanding of what economic development is, and it's not just about taxes, it's not just about, you know, big projects, it's about. All these things, all these tables, all these topics, could and should play a role. Maybe a small role. But, you know, role nonetheless. And these different topics will be of interest to different people, right? And so they'll move around, and some people might wanna sit at a table that or something that they're particularly interested in.
Yeah,
But also, somebody might say, hey, I really, agriculture, we sit at the agriculture table for a little while, or the tourism table, or the railroad table, or whatever.
I make a suggestion, and that is that, we have people switch, I've done these things before. And if there's no structure to where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, if I'm interested in agriculture, I will sit at that table. I will sit there the entire time, I will dominate the group, and I will talk, not let anybody else talk, and I won't participate in any other groups. That's been my experience. If we could have some kind of a way to say, I don't know what it is, to get them to move around to different, participation points, if you will. That'd be helpful. What do you think about that?
I can see your point, and let me think about that a little bit, about a good way to handle that, because we don't want to be like. If a person's engaged in a thing, we don't want to say, okay.
Yeah.
Your time's up now. I could bring on my old lacrosse sticks and you could,
Right.
shoot more cold nuts.
Yeah.
And it's time to go. Let me,
Yeah,
let's think, think about that. Yeah, good suggestion.
So, the only other question I had was, okay, so we have people in groups.
Right.
And, usually in a group kind of atmosphere, it's a small working group. And so what are we gonna tell them the objective is? What specifically is the outcome that we want? We don't want people saying, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. I don't really care if you like it.
Well, okay, but we're not, we don't want to set up anything for a person to say, I like this or I don't like it. Not yet. We're gonna get there.
We will hear that.
Yeah.
I know, and that's fine. And so these facilitators will also act as like scribes, okay? So I want to have these, they could be, well, normally I like to use like an easel and like a flip chart kind of thing, right? And so the facilitator / scribe, and they'll have their instructions. And I'm gonna be moving myself table to table to table. I'm not just gonna sit, I'm gonna be at all those tables, okay? But the scribe, I want them to write down everything that gets commented on or said at that table to the extent that they're able, okay? Good, bad, and different. Some of that is gonna be, I like the idea of I like the idea of some tourism coming into the town, or why would we want, strangers coming into town? Whatever it is, write it down, and these become artifacts of the whole strategic planning process. I'll take all this stuff, back with me and assimilate it and memorialize it, and it'll be treated appropriately. And this whiteboard, which is big, and I will tell you that whiteboard is going to be full by the end of the day. And so, I'm gonna have my kind of opening thing, and then the tables. And then as these sheets get filled up, it was just a great thing about that room, this is at the library. They have these metal like clip things, right? And so when one page gets filled up, that gets hung up on the wall. Next one hung up on the wall. So by the end of the day, we're gonna have a lot of material that's gonna be all around that room, okay? And people that are gonna be drawing things, hopefully, Mike maybe could comment, I don't know how difficult, whatever, we talked about having some maps of Willington. I was referencing like, things about like the size of these maps here, if that could be done. And, maybe, one that, is got the zoning, the basic zoning on it, or, so have maybe, but these are gonna then be, hopefully, that we will also be marking on, and people will be marking on. And so you get into a discussion and somebody will say, well, there's this area over, you know, on such and such a stream that I think would be a great place for a farm produce stand, whatever. Well, hey, Jeff, well, show me where you mean. Blobs and arrows and X's and directions, all this stuff, again, artifacts of the process, they'll all be, you know, taken. So at the end of the day, you have all this, you know, a lot of stuff, and then people, toward the end of the day, or during the day, then they can go around, now it's not just the tables, but here are the results of this table. In rough form, you know, written out.
What works very well is, when you get next to the end is, that, you have a presentation of what happened at that table. Everyone else, gets to comment on what they think about that or whatever.
And I'll try to formalize some of that planning, you know, but those are good ideas, and so, yeah.
Is there any place to put that stuff on the wall? I mean,
Yeah.
do they have hookups?
Well, they've got
You
these,
can't tape it, so.
no, so I think, see these aluminum
Yeah.
clips, they got the same thing at the library.
Alright, cool.
And so, yeah, so we don't need thumbtacks or tape or anything like that, we just hang them.
Yeah.
And they run the whole way around,
Good, that's terrific.
and so. Yeah, and then, so. The easels and the flip charts, apparently the library has easels, but they are of a design that does not allow the flip chart to turn over. Although we can just tear it off once it's filled up and tack it up, but apparently I'm told that the school has a big supply of the proper kinds of easels. We'll figure out, but so there's some resources that we're gonna need to draw on from the community. Now, these flip charts, I don't know whether you got a closet full of them here, buggers are probably. I hate to think what the, you know, Staples probably want $40 or something for the daggone things, but. You know, but we don't need, you know, we can maybe. And I don't mind, you know, springing for a few of them, and maybe we can split them in half, because we don't need, you know. 100 sheets for each table, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some of the smaller whiteboards could be used as well, so we're, you know, there'll be a little bit of cobbling together, but. Between, and for that matter, I mean. A facilitator, for some reason, I mean, they could always just put it down on a regular pad. The point of having on like big, like a flip chart. Is that the people can see that their comment, and I hate the color red. Okay, well.
Right.
There it is.
It's super important that we not have people writing things on paper that goes up on easel. Yeah, agree, 100%. Yeah, so, what else do we need to, go over? We have, talked about promotion, we talked about, how about a date for the outline? Can we settle on a date for the outline?
For the updated outline. Friday.
Right.
Maybe Thursday, but I'll reserve an extra day. I won't get back to the office until Wednesday evening. We'll call it Friday.
Any other stuff you want to talk?
How can we help you in terms of lining up facilitators?
Well. I almost said something. I would just say, just give some thought to, folks that you interact with, you know, it could be somebody that works with you, or a family member, or, you know, we don't want, you know, kids, but, you know, it could be college age students or older, it doesn't matter, I mean, I'm not sure how to answer your question exactly, other than the more the merrier, because, you know, we're gonna need, quite a few people, but I want them to be, if possible, determined enough in advance so that I can brief and prepare each of them. You know, And so they'll have their packet with a script, not that you have to say this, that, and the other thing, but like some prodding, some questions or some topics, if the facilitator gets a little stuck, about what to talk about. I don't think that's gonna be an issue, because people will, my experience is people will be, willing to talk, but they need to be engaged, people that are not like, a heavy introvert is probably not what we're looking for. This facilitator, you know what I'm saying? A mix of folks, just the people that maybe are friendly, but like I said, now. I'm kind of a little bit of two minds on this, so we have these different topics. And let's say, well. I guess I'm just a little bit concerned, I don't want necessarily. Like. Advocate of a particular thing, being the facilitator. At the table that they are an advocate of, okay? So. Because then there's gonna be a tendency to maybe spin that discussion, I'd rather have someone. So if they're an advocate of, give me a market, if they're a manufacturing advocate. Let them be the facilitator at the tourism table, well, the tourism advocate be the. I'm not like, I'm not falling my sword over that or get too hung up on it, but. You get kind of what I'm saying here.
Yep.
And also, if people are known in the community as being advocates or opponents to a particular thing. I can't, I'm getting there, but I can't read the community, but if. There's that type of person, which is, it's good in that they would be more. Better positioned to talk about that market. I'm just a little leery about them imposing their view.
Yeah, I think that could be helpful. I think we handle the instructions,
Yeah,
but the ability to understand what people are saying is important as well.
yeah. And another thought on that, would be. You got your facility, like the facilitator, but. An advocate type person would be welcome to be at the table. Just not like
What
controlling.
let's just go back to manufacturing.
Yeah.
What actual information, description, status, what will be on the table?
Okay, so that's a good question, so. What I planning to do is to have for each table will be, again, like a package. That will include descriptions and like photographs, we'll say, okay. But not of anything that's in Willington yet or now, okay? Cause I don't, people will zero in on that and they'll say, oh, yeah, I saw that was, proposed, and I guess gotta be careful about that, but what I do wanna do is to show projects. And maybe, for example, like the Palmer project that we're going to look at, we'll see, but I mean.
Yep.
Say, here's an example of a successful project that's in this market sector. And. Hey, here's what it looks like, here's how it functions, and here's how it contributes to economic development in that community. We're gonna need to talk about there's gonna have to be a residential table, and that's gonna gets into another thing, but. Some examples, I'm gonna try to have maybe like 6 graphics, like for each table. And they can just spread them out or pass them around, but they can be examples of residential projects. Maybe they're in Colorado or Vermont or Florida, it doesn't matter, but we wanna send the message that. Development can be attractive, it can fit with the Willington. Community, and these are just to help people think about what could be done under the economic development banner. And, sorry, in addition, I wanna try, each table, I wanna have some like show and tell items in addition to these pictures. That will be things like, they, you know, I'll put like file copy or something like that so that people don't take them hopefully, because some of them I only have one. But for example, I've got this, I don't have it with me, but, you know, one of the things that I found quite intriguing, I came across this, it's totally current. It's put out by the Connecticut Department of Agriculture, state level. And the heading on it is about a 45-page report, and the title on the thing is Farmland Needed. That intrigued me when I saw that, you know. So this is just as an example, but to have a report like that, it's just on the table. People can pick it up, look through it, you know, hopefully they'll take it with them. But, you know, we'll have a copy of like the POCD, for example, maybe that's at the head table, or maybe that's on some, you know, one of the tables. I've got a report on state of Connecticut water resources. Maybe that's something that's a show and tell item on the water table. So, you know, it's just stuff like that, you know, but informative and just designed to get people thinking and get people get people talking a little bit.
Good.
Well, it's important that we get the message out.
Yeah.
You know, we missed a heck of an opportunity. We just all got our real estate taxes notice in the mail. We could have sent it with that.
That's probably, I think we looked at that, that's pricey, get them to stuff it, because you think the way they do it. But, yeah, that's a direct mail.
What about posting up at the library? I mean, they have, you know, little mini little boards up there.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I put the flyer put up there.
Yeah, no more than 2 weeks before, I mean, outside.
Oh,
right.
People going to the dumps
That's a good
driving by.
So just, the only other option here is it would not be. You could ask ARPA for $1,000 to do mailings, buy food, get supplies, printing, I mean, whatever it is, the plan was funded from ARPA. And so it was funded at a not to exceed rate based upon
It got cut.
the contract.
It got cut from what we.
It got cut from our original request, but sitting on ARPA, there are several folks that have come back and said, you know, oh, it turns out we need this or we need that, and they've asked for a very, very small sum of money. If you felt like a direct mail or something else was really necessary.
Sure, would be good.
And we can do, I can cover through land use, some of the, like the minor costs of different things, and we making maps and, you know, we have an office supplies, those types of things, but. In September, so early in the fiscal year, there's not gonna really be a line item in anybody's budget that's gonna be, you know, have $700 in it or something like that. If we went with the bulk mail permit through USPS, that would be a postcard. So you're limited in size, but those are,
They work.
I think you can save almost or up to half of the rate of a postcard through the bulk mailing.
Well, and the town has done this before. They sent out, before the school referendum, they sent out a postcard and we got about $400. That's what I was told.
Yeah,
Who does that? Who does that?
so you have to go to the post office and apply for what they call bulk mail permit.
Oh, we have one.
It's like, we're getting this permit to do this mailing.
Oh,
So it's not just- Right. So what that does is you tell them the number of pieces and what you're, and the type of mailing, so postcard. And then they give you like a bulk charge based on the number of pieces. So that permit would have covered whatever mailing they did. So it would be the same thing, number of households or whatever. So even if it's, I mean, $500, not to say that that's not a lot of money, but we're talking about like a plan that's for an entire town. It doesn't seem like a lot of money when you're talking about wanting the entire town to know, right? The only other option that I can think of based upon the experience that I have is trying to see if there's anything else that's going on in the community and trying to, you know, is somebody else planning something or, you know.
Well, the same day that this is happening is the tag sale.
Yeah.
On the green. I thought about, you know, giving flyers out to the Republicans and Democrats at the tag sale.
Yeah, and we should, and I believe it was, well, a couple people have mentioned the flea market.
Yeah.
And I've responsive to that in terms of like some kind of a little bit of a cross marketing thing where just, you know, signage at the flea market that says, hey, come visit us at the library. We got a sign at the library that says, don't forget about, I don't know.
Language.
I was gonna say, even the flea market signs they put out on the town green. I mean, that's well in advance piggybacking on that sign some way somehow, because everybody sees the date on it. Oh, what's something else beneath it too? At least it draws
Yeah.
that little bit more of attention.
I really think, I got involved in the Board of Finance, because I got a little late to have a little flat by 3 yellow car in the middle of advising my taxes were going. I came down to the Board of Finance meeting. And I spoke for a while. My wife said to me, I'm leaving the house, don't volunteer, well, I've been involved ever since. And I just think if we can get it out, that this is going on. And we'll get a response.
So I've been paying her to keep her mouth shut.
Well, I think if I think a mailing or even a postcard mailing, I think would be a good thing. But just bear in mind, I mean, we're a little bit a month out,
Yeah.
and you got figure a week actually in the mail, and then you would want them to have the postcards maybe at least a few days before the thing. So, I mean, as a practical matter, I mean, these postcards are gonna need to be ready to go within a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be doable, but I mean, I don't know, you know more about how that works with the town and everything.
I had no idea how it works.
But
None whatsoever.
Is there something we can even post up at the transfer station?
I'm actually,
Just
I probably shouldn't say this, but
Yeah.
I mean, you reach a lot of people there that might just toss something or put it at the wayside, but you know, they go through the transfer station, at least if it's something there. On their way through, on their way out, just something small, might just click enough, and people can say, oh, so I heard it enough in advance, and they try a place where a lot of people congregate on the regular every week. Maybe it kind of burn it in the brains a little bit.
yeah, and then I guess, I'm not a social media person, but you know, we just need to be aware of using. And again, the library has said they'll use their social media. But whether we put this on, you know, like, I guess the town has a website or Facebook, so I'm a little, that's not really my thing. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm actually a little bit more concerned with too many people coming. So we got 120 maximum in that room. Or like the police come.
Well, the police won't come because we don't have any police. but the fire
Well,
marshal-
the fire department, so I mean, there's like fire regulations and there's parking and things like that, so I think 100 people. To me, that's sort of the sweet spot, you know, some more, sure, a few less, perhaps, but. I mean, if 200 people were to show up. I'm not sure what would happen.
Yeah, I tell you the truth, I'm not that worried about that.
Okay, I'm glad.
Do you think it's gonna be a? I
I'd
don't
like to
think
say,
so.
I am worried about it, but I just.
Okay.
No.
People-
Cheryl,
people
Cheryl,
do their
Cheryl, what's your
thing.
opinion on that? You have one? If you're there, I don't know if Cheryl's there or not.
I'm here. My thinking on what? I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, I'm thinking on over subscription, that we're gonna get too many people for the space allotted.
I don't think we're gonna get too many people. I
I-
really don't.
I don't think so.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to be pessimistic, but I just, you know, I really don't think that we will get too many people.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's really the only concern I have, and so you've eliminated that concern, I'm a happy guy.
Good. Okay, so I think we've talked about announcements, we've talked about, well, I could contact Jeff, and see if he would be willing to do some kind of a sign, I don't know, some kind of a wooden sign or something like that. You're talking about like a sandwich board or something.
Sandwich boards are usually, you mean like a yard sign, just like almost like a campaign sign?
Yeah.
Depends on where they would go. I mean, I guess you just stick, get 10 of them. You could put one at the transfer station, you could put one library, I mean, you could put them around. I'm sure there's some businesses that will be fine with it.
Heavily traveled area.
Speaking of businesses, I wanted to throw this out there. There's another thought I had. So we got these different tables, right, the topics and everything. I thought, might be a nice, just little touch to have like a merchant's table where people could put their, business cards, brochures, pizza coupons, information about their business, it's like a passive thing.
I love that idea.
Thank you.
That carries, I agree with.
And there could be somebody, don't have to be a facilitator or something like that, but there could be
Well, the
just
timing,
different local business people just hanging out at the table, and hey, I own I'm dying to go into the archery shop that's down there. Dulce Corner.
That's been
No
closed.
longer, they just keep the sign up there.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Closed for a long time.
Never mind, well,
it's gonna take the sign down, it's called.
but
Real estate.
whatever, anyway, it's just a thought, that doesn't happen to happen, but they got like a lot of these tables and they got. So just something, another thing, bells and whistles.
So the timing on the flyers. And the timing on it, we put some type of notification out, like a both for sign or a little long sign. I wouldn't do it any more than 2 or 3 weeks ahead. But people have a tendency to forget things.
Right.
When will the flyers actually be produced?
Well,
Produced in what way?
Something that we would put on the post office wall.
Oh, well, so the article's gotta go out pretty shortly.
I got that covered.
Yep.
But so the revised this, and that we're gonna,
Yeah.
and Matt made some recommendations that I'm fine with, and so it shouldn't be too much of a thing to make those changes.
No,
And then it will be a PDF, right, a JPEG,
well,
and
whatever,
then we print as many as. You want. Now, the mailing, if you can do that, my understanding is that it would need to be like a postcard sort of thing.
as long as we're all good with what the final suggested changes are. I mean, I put it together so I can make the edits. It's just a matter of, making the tweaks. It won't take long. As long as we're all good and. I want there to be a Rev 1, but not like a Rev 3, Rev 4, Rev 5.
Right.
That's the part that's harder.
Right, now, we have to pull the trigger when it's,
Well, I'm good now, so I have no more input. So. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? I think that's it.
I'm planning to take care of the refreshments. And we talked about that a little bit today, and,
I'll help you with the setup.
okay, they got a kitchen there, but I'm not, I'm not planning on cooking anything there. Although I'm a pretty good cook. My chili, anyway, that's another story. But, they suggested that, I said, well, some have suggested like going to pizza and stuff, and as, everybody wants to do pizza, but it gets cold and, it falls on the floor and all that, so they suggested some small, small sandwiches like you can get from, what's the big grocery store here?
Big what?
Big Y. And like some, whatever, fruit platter, cheese, stuff like that, and stuff to drink, and So there's water.
He's gonna share a comment with you later.
So I need to go in there because I have to go to the weapons meeting.
Yeah.
You guys are free to continue, and then when you're done, I'll just take care of the computer stuff.
All right, we'll just close the lid, that'll show.
I'm hosting it through this, so
Oh,
I'm gonna be sitting in my office there,
Oh,
so
wait.
I'll just pop right out.
I'll wait for you. Ralph Tulis, are you going to the other meeting?
You should, I was, yes.
I'll wait. So, Mike? Okay, what else do we need to cover? Well, I wanted to ask you guys about tax stabilization. What your thoughts were on that. I'm sorry, I wanted to ask you about tax stabilization and what your thoughts are with that. What we think is a way forward. I'd like to invite.
We're gonna have another meeting prior to this, right? We have an August meeting, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before, you saw Kara's email today, she had another meeting come up in Bolton, that's why she's not here. So she's asked if she could postpone her to the August meeting. She had intended to come
Do we have
tonight,
a date for the August meeting?
fourth Monday.
That would be August 19th, no, 26th. 26th. Okay, yeah, that's a good time, that's a good time.
Oh, there she is. I didn't see this. So, I mean, I don't know if you have any input on tax stabilization until Kara can join it. But my questions to her were having to do with actually operationalizing it. How would it work? And what do we need to do? Do we need an ordinance? Do we need a, I don't know how it would work, I'm not quite sure. But I, at EDC, I think that it would be good for us to have an opinion on what we think about a tax stabilization ordinance, whether or not it's appropriate for our town. And whether or not there's any limitations we would like to see on it. So that kind of thing is, you know, I think it's also important to tell people that this is not an abatement.
Right.
Everybody's gonna pay every penny of taxes.
Yeah.
We go into the abatement, I don't want to open up that can of
No,
worms. That would be horrible.
It has to be worded in a way that people just don't disassociate with it and just think it's just a scapegoat for a bigger entity.
Right,
Just,
right.
it's getting that across, which is the most delicate way.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the actual gist of the ordinance?
The gist of the ordinance is that it allows the Board of Selectmen on a discretionary basis to stabilize taxes over the lifetime of a project. So if someone builds a water wheel, or I don't know what it is, it doesn't really matter. They all use that thing, the batteries. If they build a facility that stores power in batteries on our land, that is in our town, we would charge them. Normally, we do an estimate of what it's worth, and then we would charge them a tax rate every single year for what it's worth. Problem is that it goes down in value. And, you know, that from our perspective, it goes down in value, but it will only be assessed every 10 years. From their perspective, they want to be able to pay the same taxes every single year, rather than have a high tax rate at the beginning and a low tax rate at the end. So we take that curve, it looks like this, and we go like that. For planning purposes and for banks love this. Because now they look at it and they go, oh, this is good, and there's no surprises. I'm not quite sure how it works in terms of, and my question for Carrie is how it's actually operationalized, and do you have to offer it to everybody? I don't want to offer it to everybody.
Correct.
And any business in town can go and say, I want tax stabilization the way these guys do. That opens up a can of worms that I don't think we're prepared to deal
And
with.
you wonder if it could be like P and Z by special permit only, case by case,
Yeah.
things of that nature.
Yeah, but that's for zoning.
Right. I'm just wondering if
I don't know.
that can be adopted to it,
Right.
if that's.
I don't know, I'm
There's
not
have to
quite
be a
sure.
rural regulation that
I can tell you that, you know, our town has 84 and we have Yukon, which are both strong assets. Proximity to Yukon and transportation of Route 84, and we have rail as well. Which are all strong assets. I want to make sure that, you know, we're on the radar screen, for potential developers, business people to locate here. We have a lot of needs in our town. We have school needs, we have infrastructure needs. Someday we're gonna have to do sewer and water. I know no one wants to hear that, but someday we're gonna have to do it.
it's gonna be natural progression.
I mean, you know, so then you look at it and you go, well, where's the money gonna come? So that would be one piece of ammo in our repertoire, if you will, to attract the kind of development we need. Those are my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think. I'm talking a lot.
No, I mean, it's, when you're starting up a business or a project, you know, borrowing money
Yeah,
and cash flow from when you're borrowing money to establishing the business or the project, and you have a heavy tax front loaded,
yeah.
it kills projects.
Sure.
It kills people who want to consider it. Now, if you look at, you know, the mill rate in this town over the past 10 years has gone up 33%.
We used to be below average. Now we are no longer below average. We are average.
We were 24.38 in 2013. We were 32.15 in 23. And it went up another 5.4% this year.
We're almost as high as South Windsor, where I grew up, and they have one of the highest tax rates and we're right along with Vernon, and we're right along with Manchester, which is inconceivable to me.
You know, and then you look, I don't want to digress too far, but you look at it and you go, Vernon and Manchester provide a lot more services than we do here in Willington.
Sure do.
You know, and then you look at, okay, and we don't have, and there's no water, no sewer. Vernon and Manchester have water, well, Manchester has water and sewer, Vernon has water. Anyway, we're going round and round.
No, I mean, it's
But for the tax stabilization, and, you know, but we'll talk about it again in our next meeting. We'll have, Kara here to talk about it. My questions to her will be implementation, and can she get us a template or an example that we can look at?
Sure.
And then we can make a recommendation to Board of Selectmen on, we think this is a good idea, and this is how we think you should do it, or. And Cheryl, what do you, I mean, you're not in the room, but what do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea. I'd like to hear more information about it, Matt, before I make a decision. I think on the surface, like looking at it from the outside, it seems like an amazing idea to draw in, businesses into our town. But I
Right.
also would be like, I don't know, I think we would have to take it on a case by case basis, you know?
I believe so too, and I'm worried about the legal ramifications of a case by case basis. You can't discriminate against some folks.
Yeah.
You have to have it written out. I'm not quite sure how that works, so that scares me. Also, you know, the feedback that's been happening so far, in other meetings in town, the Board of Selectmen meetings, was, well, okay, you know, good to have, however, we need money now. So we like the idea of front loading, because we
Right.
have lots of needs. That needs to be taken, I don't agree, but that needs to be taken into consideration as well. It's a valid point, we should consider that, so, anyway. Okay, so that's, I guess, our next steps on tax stabilization are Carol will attend our next meeting. We'll ask her to be prepared to discuss or gather some information for us. And that, to move forward with that. Okay. That's what I have. And the next thing, I'll close out that one. Is there any, then other business? Do we have any other business that we want to discuss, guys? Shirley, you're open. Do you have any other things that you'd like to discuss, Mike?
No, I'm sorry, Mike, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just real quick, I just wanted to let you guys know I will be there on the 7th. And I have
Alright.
done a bajillion things at the library, so I know how it works. Remember, I was involved with Boy Scouts for years, so we've used the library for stuff, so I kind of know how it all, so I can help you out, Ernie. Like I kind of know how it all works, like in the kitchen, how it has to be left, and you know what I mean? How it's like, the Boy Scout motto, leave no trace. Like we were never there to begin with. So I will be there on the 7th, just to let you guys know. That's all I wanted to say.
Excellent. I am writing you in my scroll of.
Ooh, I feel important. I'm in a scroll. That's exciting.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that.
Of course.
I think this is something good for Ernie to hear too, something that we've been discussing a lot in P and Z with home occupations, we've been going over for quite some time now. Is that the growth of home occupations in Willington and how a lot of businesses are getting too big to be considered home occupations. We're trying to figure out a way to curtail it. But what we keep circling back to a little bit, just touching upon, is the necessity for an industrial park that can attract new, smaller businesses, but also have a larger place for home occupations to go and grow and flourish a bit more. And we all know it's easier said than done, commercial real estate doing this, but we keep coming around to it at some point that we see businesses growing in town that really are too big to be out of their house. And it would be obviously a wishful thinking to develop some type of industrial park at some point that we could attract. I mean, other towns have them, Tallinn has them all around. I mean, it doesn't have to be massive, but something is something that, hey, there's space locally that I don't have to drive 20 miles for space to.
Yeah, and when you approach someone and say, the business is getting too big for your britches here, they have someplace to go.
Correct, and that's
That's
been
good.
some of the comment, well, okay,
Fine,
where do we go then?
fine, I'll move out and take my tax dollars with me. No, please don't do that.
Correct, so
Yeah, you want
we kind of keep circling this wheel too, and I figured it's just.
Absolutely.
Again.
Absolutely. And maybe, and that's something that we need to incorporate, discuss further, put that in the proper context. This is important, and I'm an advocate of sort of home businesses, but you bring up, you get to a certain point, especially depending on what that business is. It's one thing if you got a computer and a printer.
Correct.
But it's another thing if you're a mechanic or you're doing machining or, other things like that. And so an industrial park, let's find a spot for it, and that's part of the trick for any of us developers, but let's work on that. Maybe that's a table or include it on a table and get people talking.
Good, sounds good. Other, anything else? I'm done. Cheryl's done. Okay, so I guess there's no reports or correspondence. Public participation is encouraged. We have Melissa McKinnon is here. No one in here in our audience. Is there any public participation at the end of our meeting? Going once, going twice. Gone. And so public participation, yes, public participation is over, and I'll do a motion for adjournment. Motion to adjourn. Second. Yes, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you very much for coming. Very much appreciated.
Of course. Have a great night, guys.
Look forward